Hello folks, welcome to episode 8 of Making Useless Things. My name is Gracie and this is a little podcast / vlog about various projects that I am working on. October was a pretty busy month for me, especially for work and my personal day-to-day life. So I didn't get much time to work on stuff, but as always, I was still making something. I guess what I had going on was a lot of side projects. I got distracted by a rather unsuccessful Halloween costume. I started a quilt, and I also completed Inktober, which is quite a time-consuming endeavor. Yeah, it was a beautiful month. Fall was absolutely lovely. I got to go on quite a few hikes and really enjoy all the color and changes this season brings. Something I missed quite a lot since living in Okinawa. I was around last year, but life was like a really big distraction and it was really stressful. So this year I really got to take time to enjoy it, and that was absolutely lovely. So I got to end it with a really short trip to visit my family, and as always, that's just a wonderful experience. So I thought I would start this vlog off by chit-chatting a little bit about Inktober and my experience. So I participated in this last year, so this is actually my second year doing it. Some of you might know it is an art challenge created by @JakeParker. And it was his idea that you create an inked drawing every day of October, so that's 31 days of drawing, just to gain experience and practice and to sort of shape your style. There's usually some type of prompt for every single day, and since it has grown quite a bit over the years, a lot of different artists have created their own prompts, sort of stepping away from the original idea and creating their own challenges within this challenge itself. So I followed Furry Little Peach's prompts this year, which are much more relaxed and a little more directional. They're pretty straightforward and not as vague as like the original prompts, which I actually wrote down both the original prompts as well as Furry Little Peach's. That way, if I didn't like one or the other, I could kind of choose between each day. But with that, doing the, I guess you could call them easier prompts or more straightforward prompts with Furry Little Peach is something a hobby artist like me could really enjoy. I absolutely loved how relaxing it was. Last year, I think I got a little intense and tried to overdo it. So this year I stayed really small. I stuck to just my ink and a erasable colored pencil and one ink pen, and that was it. And that's all I could do. And I kept my pieces very, very small. I didn't do the best job at posting or sharing my artwork every day. I kind of abandoned that rather quickly. So I was always playing catch up on Instagram. But I drew pretty much every day. There was only a couple times where I had to do a makeup. They were so easy to do, and I didn't have to stress about that. About, oh, if I have to paint 2 in one day, it's not going to be the end of the world. Inktober is always this time to express yourself and try out something new. And this year, a lot of my inspiration actually ended up coming from things that I used to draw as a child. Not a great amount, but I just sort of took this inspiration from the ideas I had as a kid and the things that I wanted to create on paper, because I hated drawing as a kid. Since I'm a perfectionist, I never thought my art was good enough. Inktober is kind of one of those things that teaches you how to break that habit of it's never going to be perfect, because you only have a set amount of time to do it, and if that's what it is, that's what it's going to be. It's a really wonderful time, and if you have the opportunity, I highly suggest participating in Inktober. There's many different ways that you can. You don't always have to use ink. You're welcome to use any medium that you want. There are even people who do it digitally. I was just sharing that I'm considering starting a quilt top. I might finish it as a quilt, but it's something I've had in my mind for a while, but I feel like since winter is kind of rolling in, it might be a good time for it. I might start cutting that out today, which could be really fun. I think it might be nice if I can like figure out a setup and I can cut it out on my desk, which might require like having to purchase different cutting materials. So maybe not, maybe it'll just have to be on the floor because it requires cutting out like little tiny triangles. I've made this quilt top before and I really enjoyed it because it's just squares and triangles, and actually I think it's all squares. It was really easy to do, and it wasn't like you didn't have to be outrageously precise as you do with some quilting. And I was able to actually quilt it on my machine as well, which was not fun, but it was doable. So I might attempt that again. It's terrible lighting because it's evening, but I'm actually doing it. I'm starting to cut out pieces for a quilt. Yay! So it's pretty nice to be like getting back into sewing. Sorry, he's just really... Say hi. I think he gets jealous if I'm filming myself. He's like, you're not filming me? He has to be like in every shot. Anyways. So I've been down a YouTube hole of like watching YouTube gossip videos. That kind of pumped me up to like start cutting out pieces for a quilt. It's kind of weird. I guess because I could like have my computer on the floor and watch something while I'm cutting something out. Unlike watching a movie or something, I usually watch it on the TV. And I've just been kind of at a standstill with my knitting lately. I don't really know why. I think I just, you know, your mojo like ebbs and flows, and you gotta be comfortable with it. But I'm also going through some stuff, so that might also be it. Sometimes knitting is therapeutic, and sometimes it's not. And that's okay. So you just kind of have to take what you can and use it when you need it. My process right now is interesting. Actually, I think I'm gonna have to get it out. I have a lot of little pieces of fabric. It's all Alice in Wonderland themed, which is gonna be really fun. But I had lots of these little pieces, so I was actually just ironing them using a wood board so I could just sit on the floor and just kind of mess around. But I just realized, I think I'm getting to some bigger stuff. So I think I'm gonna have to iron it on the board pretty soon. Because I like this method. I'm just like, I'm gonna sit here and be really lazy. We'll see. I really wish I had a little bit smaller cutting utensils. I have a Fiskars thing. I think this was something that my husband got me a while back, but I have the nice plastic self-healing cutting board. And this has been really great. This I've had for like 5 or 6 years now. Fantastic. Highly suggest if you're into, even if you're just into like cutting paper, this is amazing. My blade is probably pretty dull. I don't think I've ever changed it in 5 to 6 years, which is bad. I should probably swap it out. No, I think I changed it once. Are you drinking my ink water? Cats, man. He was sticking his paw into my paint water. His paw. I was talking about Fiskars. Highly suggest if you're interested in doing any kind of crafting, use this stuff. 3 items. Fantastic. Been with me forever. Moved it to Okinawa. Brought it home from Okinawa. Very glad to have this here with me. Back to talking about the quilt a little bit. So not last year. Many years ago. I think it was 2016 because I did not have a job at the time. I did technically my second quilt top or my second quilt. The first one I did was for my friend and I just kind of made it up and I didn't really know what I was doing. The second one I did was Tiny Squares quilt by Purl Soho. It's a free pattern and free with all the instructions. Really nice. I really enjoy Purl Soho's website and finding things out there. Anyways, when I lived in Okinawa, I stumbled upon some Alice in Wonderland fabric that had these big squares. It had circles. It was made for turning into bags or pouches. It was very creative. I thought it was really cute. I loved that it was more classic Alice in Wonderland. God bless me, I don't know the artist's name. I'll add that here. His artwork style, which is a little bit more like, I actually have some of the fabric, and I adore this artwork style. I think it's so fun. Anyways, I was using it, I was making purses and bags and selling them in my Etsy shop, especially after I made myself a little circle bag and everybody was freaking out about it. But they were very time consuming. I didn't have the means. I was struggling to like continue finding the fabric. So I just wasn't making them with enough gusto, I guess, as all my Etsy endeavors are. I'm just like half-heartedly start it and then I'm just like, I don't want to do this anymore. Needless to say, I still purchased a lot of Alice in Wonderland fabric and I have a pretty good stack of it. So I have a couple yards and I'm going to work with this on making my quilts, as well as incorporating these squares into it because they're white and black, like a chessboard, which could also be really fun and creative. And each design is a little different. So I'm thinking about using larger squares and then working up with all the other little squares around it and just seeing where I go from it, seeing what I can get out of it. It's gonna be really interesting. One of my 2 finished objects is this hat. It took me quite a while to figure this yarn out. The few of you who watch regularly or follow me elsewhere might know that this yarn is from my work. It is Romney wool in its natural base. I naturally dyed the yellow with goldenrod and turmeric. Since the yarn didn't have a label, I had to wrestle with it a bit to figure out the weight, especially because I was lazy and I didn't knit up any swatches. I just went straight to casting on a hat. So this led to like several false starts as well as a few misunderstandings concerning the color work. In the end, I got a finished hat, one that I'm really pleased with it. I've been wearing it around the farm for like a few weeks now. It is a bit itchy on the forehead, but it's so warm and I really like how bright it is and fun. After every wear, it's getting a little bit more comfortable. So I'm pretty happy with it. And I know it's something that I'm going to hold on to for many, many years. So I love Halloween. Okay, let me clarify. I really enjoy the cute, spooky, and cozy elements of Halloween, but what I really love is the costumes. It's always a blast to see everybody get creative and so inventive with their various ideas and characters. Trick-or-treating wasn't really a thing for me growing up as a kid, so the opportunity to dress up as something or someone has always been fascinating. So this year, my grand idea was to be a 1920s flapper. I figured it would be a really easy outfit to piece together with a few trips to the thrift store, but that was not the case. Good morning. So this is where I'm at right now. This is a Halloween costume that I'm spending way too much time on. And right now I am taking sequins off around the armpit so that I can then make this opening a lot smaller and refinish my edge because this originally had sleeves and I'm going for a 1920s flapper look, so I need to reshape the dress a little bit. I'm getting way too into this project. It's a little ridiculous, the amount of time I'm putting into this, and I just I have to kind of keep reminding myself that partly I'm doing it because this is fun. You know, I really enjoy ripping sequins off of a dress that I'm probably gonna wear once in my life, that I spent $3 on, that's kind of falling apart, that's sort of a mess, but I have some sort of weird urge to just continue doing this. I can't convince myself otherwise. It's weird. I just enjoy what I'm doing, and maybe it stresses me out because Halloween is, you know, relatively soon. It's like next week. Today is the 24th, I think. You do what you can do in a situation, and that's it. Oh gosh. But this is like so satisfying. You basically just get one string, just go to town. You just pull on it and everything goes bye-bye. Extremely satisfying. Just like that. What I'm going to work on is my Halloween costume. I really want to keep making this beaded fringe, but I shouldn't because Halloween is so close. I need to finish mending the dress and refitting the dress to look more like a 1920s flapper dress because, ooh, time to stand up. Because it's a little, I need to go back further. It originally had sleeves. It's also like an extra large or something from, you know, the 80s or the 70s or whenever this was made. But I just found it at a thrift store. Most of the sequins are falling off, so I didn't care too much. But I kind of need to mend some tears in the side, finish off the sleeves. I took the short sleeves off, turned it into a tank top. I'm just going to kind of bring in the sides a little bit. I have to finish the hem. There's still kind of a lot of work to do on the dress before I start adding more to it. But I just got really excited about it, and I wanted to invest all this time into it, and then I realized I only have like a week, but I was blessed with this day off, and so hopefully I can devote all my time to finishing it up. So that'll be cool. Needless to say, I had gotten in way over my head. I didn't have the time or the experience to make the proper alterations to this dress. So as a dress, it's ruined. As a costume, it might be something that I could like get away with as long as it's really dark and no one looks too closely. I really lucked out though. The temperature dropped to like the low 30s on Halloween, so I wasn't gonna wear a sleeveless dress and heels outside. So instead I opted for like a practical scarecrow with long sleeves and warm clothes, as well as like a winter jacket, a hat, scarf, and gloves. So it served me very well in the end while waiting for my lift. Hi, I thought I would do another chit chat. I was sitting on the couch, I'm curled up. It's my day off. There is a kitty over here. She's all comfy. But I thought I'd chit chat a little bit. I'm working on my sister sock. Now, this project has been very interesting. I actually had to, I already made the heel flap, I did the heel turn, I was starting my gusset decreases, and I made a very small mistake in the stitch pattern, so I had to go back, take it all out. I actually had to rip out more than I thought because I made a mistake while ripping back. But now I'm just kind of finishing up this heel turn. Sometimes you're in the mindset to sit down and just tackle it, get it done with. Other times you make a mistake and you just have to put the project away for a while, for like a long time. Luckily, a long time for me is maybe a day. I usually just have to give it a break and wait until I have the brain power or the time to just really figure out the problem. Today is the day. I'm hoping to make it to a couple gusset decreases before I have to get up and start doing more stuff. I've been up for quite a few hours. I'm just taking this time because I do have to go and do errands today. So I'm just taking this time while I have it, while the light is nice, while it's cozy and the house is quiet, to just work on this. And I do have my other project, which is, sorry babe, which is my Morginn cardigan over here. I was working on that. I try to just put in a couple rows a day because I'm working on the body now. So it's just going to take me a long time. It's just going to take a while, and I know that, and I'm just kind of chipping away at it very slowly. I'm not in a rush to get it done. Once this sock is done, I can finally cast on something else. I know in the last episode I kind of talked about writing patterns. Right now, I don't know where I'm going with that. I am going to try to write my patterns. I don't know if I'm going to publish them, at least not anytime soon. I think my main goal is just to get this stuff onto paper and into some sort of form where it's relatively ready to be a pattern, and then once I have a little bit more time to really consider that decision, I might start posting them and seeing if I can get them edited and stuff like that. Setting that idea and that passion aside for a second is a healthy decision. So moving forward, I'm just going to work on patterns and work on new ones and write them up. And then maybe someday later down the road, I'll finish them up. I don't think that there's any rush for it to get done, and that makes the whole process way more enjoyable. Right now I'm enjoying Bee Mandarins. That's Melody Hoffman. So her knitting, she's more of a knitting vlog podcast. Is absolutely lovely. It's just like the coziest vibes. It's probably my favorite. I really look forward to hers. They're very creative and very comforting. My only other cast off has been this pair of sister socks. I can't really remember what I shared about these socks in the previous episode, but this idea of mismatched colorwork socks started kind of a while back. My sister asked me for a pair of socks, and I had just enough of two colors in my stash to make them. So I've been improvising this pattern over and over again throughout the years, and this time around I finally decided to write the pattern down. It is a rough draft right now. Someday it might be an actual pattern that I can share. We just kind of have to wait and see. The best thing about these socks is that every time I make a pair, they have to be given away, and they have to be shared with some sort of sister in my life. And I find that just makes each pair all that more precious to me. The red yarn is Hot Tamale by Knit Picks in Stroll, and the Variegated Speckles is by Yarn Cafe Creations. It was a part of her Stranger Things collection a few years back, and I'm afraid I've forgotten the colorway name. A quick update on my Morginn cardigan by Katrin Schneider. This project is just very slow going. I'm stuck on what some people call Body Island. It's not really that bad of a place to be. With the weather getting colder, it's very snuggly and fun to work on. It's always nice to pick it up and just squish the yarn. Like, I'm always happy to do that. Also, the days where I sit around and do nothing but work on this cardigan and watch period dramas are coming very soon. The yarn is Wonder Fluff by Knit Picks, and the pattern can be found in Lane magazine issue number 4. Appreciate you guys' comments and your likes, especially comments. It's always like it's funny, but it is nice to know that there's people out there that I can communicate with and we can talk about things. I love knowing or hearing about what projects you're working on, so that's always a wonderful thing. You can comment below. I learn a lot from people when they comment. Usually they just like tell me things I've never heard of before, and that's always such a blessing. I'm trying to just kind of show you my life and like what I work on and just like all the different little endeavors that I do. So I'm just a snippet into, I guess, a creative lifestyle. I like making, and I like making anything. It doesn't have to be anything very specific. Just as long as I'm making, it really brings me a lot of joy and happiness. So for those of you who are curious about what I'm doing with all of this planting, I have been propagating my pothos. It started getting out of control a couple of months ago after reading a book on plants and identifying all of my houseplants. I learned that it was very easy to just trim the ends and stick them in bottles of water. This plant is really hardy and easy to propagate. Slowly, I have been collecting various mugs, cups, and weird things from the thrift store to plant them in. My end goal is, I think, to hand some of them out at the holidays as gifts. This plant is sort of hard to kill, which will work for anyone because even the worst plant killers will get a cute mug out of it in the end. So I hope you enjoyed watching today. This was a little bit different. As always, each one of my episodes gets a little shake up. I like to continue pushing myself to try something different. I'm still trying to get an understanding of how to convey a narrative and sort of a story with each one of these videos. Thank you, as always, for choosing to spend your time with me. Please feel free to share below with me your current projects or some of your favorite cozy activities for this time of year. I really do enjoy hearing from you guys. It's very encouraging and it helps me to create more of these videos. And I hope you have a fantastic November, and I'll see you all soon.